Welcome to the Founder Spotlight series from Tracxn, where we invite startup founders to share their journey, some sort of insights, and advice to the youngsters who have startup dreams. Well, today we have with me Mr. Sumit Kumar, who is the founder of Heads Up B2B from Delhi. Hi, Sumit. How are you doing today?
Hi, Subhan. All good, thanks, sir.
Sure. I welcome you on behalf of the entire Tracxn family. And thank you so much for making some time out of your busy schedule. Right.
Sure.
I'm Supine, your host today, and I am heading the entire startup vertical over here. So let us get started with the entire conversation now. Okay. To begin the journey of this conversation, first of all, love to understand the backstory of Heads Up B2B. Okay. And what was the trigger point for you to
Right.
go ahead with this startup?
So I come from the business vertical, which is human resources. That's my background. That is my what I've done studies in. And very few people from human resources actually go out and start ventures. My first venture was in consulting. Right? So we have been doing consulting across technology and human resources for past 8 years. And Heads Up B2B really came into picture around 3.5 years back while we were consulting a big EPC contractor on something which has to do with restructuring their purchase and procurement team. Right. So a lot of conversation were happening around that, and that is when I really found a problem statement as to the entire purchase of how and how much skewed it is when it comes to actual rate which are there, the entire supply chain and the gap which are there in the supply chain, and the issues which needs to be fixed. Right.
Sure.
So that's how the idea for B2B really started from that particular client of ours who we are consulting. They were struggling for buying a particular product. Turns out that that product is available in my hometown, right? So I said, okay, let me just try to do this thing. And see, services business is not a very revenue centric business, right? It's a very
That's true.
yeah. So B2B in itself is a very heavy revenue business kind of a thing. So they gave us an order of around 20 lakhs when it started. And
Wow.
then 20 lakhs just sounded too much for us. Okay, it's a big amount, right? Because in services, it will take 4 months, 5 months to kind of do any kind of earning 20 lakhs as a pure money from a client. Here, I'm getting it in 7 days, right? So that is where the kick in really started. So we were just doing it for hobby for the first 1.5 years, right? And there are a few products which we were dealing in, and these are all we never did marketing. We never kind of went out and showed ourselves in events, etc. We were very word of mouth kind of a thing. But maybe 2.5 years back is when we really felt that okay, there's a lot of traction which we are getting. There's a lot of opportunity which we feel across products, categories, and the things which we are working in. And that is when the entire story, when we took it off, we put a lot more money. Last year we raised funds, and the entire journey went from 5 crores, which we did in the first for 1.5, 18 months, to almost 300 crores we are doing this year in what
Wow.
2.5 years.
That sounds really exciting.
So yeah, so that has been a small journey.
Great to hear this, right? In nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Would love to hear one thing from your side, and that is, what do we see something more exciting in the next 1 year from now, another 6 to 12 months from now, is in terms of product, in terms of any kind of customer acquisition, or something that you would love to highlight.
Sure.
Main thing is for the next 12 months, anything which is exciting for all of us to know.
Right. So over the course of last 2, 3 years, with investors coming in, and the investors are from the industry, they have almost 30 years of experience. They are also a listed company. There's a lot of experience which has been brought on our table. We have added few very experienced IS officers, people who have been from the industry in our board. They've really shaped us in how we are going to take the things forward. Now, our focus is on our simple framework, which we are following right now. So earlier it was more on the lines of that we're working like a marketplace, closed marketplace, right, where we are buying more of the finished products, right? Now
All
we are
right.
doing more in the part of implementation and execution and also financing. So we have NBFC partners where we are brought in. We're also deploying our capital, which are obviously secured capitals, which we are deploying to our clients. We are now going more vertically deep in the entire manufacturing supply chain, where we are getting the designs, we are getting the manufacturing done, we are helping the manufacturers source the raw material from our existing network, which is already there. It's just that we are realigning the entire supply chain for us. So in the next 6 to 12 months, 18 months, as we prepare for the next leap, right? So our focus is on our entire contract manufacturing. That is what we are doing right now.
Sure.
We want to increase our wallet size of contract manufacturing. We want to also improve the entire visibility and traceability of the supply chain, because B2B in the segments which we operate, which is majorly infra, green energy, is highly skewed. There's a lot of invisibility of product movement, invisibility of how customer track the products. We want to make it through our, so we have created our own CRM and ERP, which is created by our own team, and that is deployed basically to improve our process internally, right? So we are already, the time, for example, let's say a purchase order, which typically used to take 60 minutes earlier,
Understood.
now we are getting it done in 2 minutes, right? Because there's generative AI which we have put for our team. So we are not going from an outward perspective in using our AI and technology. We are very focused on inward utilization, because we personally feel that this business, obviously it's a very revenue centric business, but we want to be very lean in terms of team. So even this 300 cr what we are doing, with a functional team of only 15 people, we would be achieving 300 cr,
Wow.
and which is something which very rarely happens in early stage ventures.
Absolutely. At
So
least I have never seen that. Yeah.
yes, so that's how we are kind of structured, and our focus is that we want to streamline our cash flows even better, right? So we are going to improve our processes. We are improving a lot on our vendor networks. We are onboarding as many MSMEs as we can from a manufacturing perspective, and yeah, that is what our focus is.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great to hear this.
Sure.
So quite often when I interact with a lot of other early stage startup co-founders, this is a question which keeps hitting me all the time, and that is, in the entire life cycle, the first 6 months versus the next 6 months, right? In the 18 months to 24 months of time frame, right? What do you feel? When should someone decide when to get themselves funded, right? Versus they should they should go for some more revenue and then decide whether this is the right time. What is the right time? What do you feel, especially from construction tech or maybe in your field?
Sure. Sure. See, our first venture, which is there, goes by the Heads Up Corporation. We are completely bootstrapped. We are PAT positive. We have been profitable since the start, right? Obviously, the revenues are not 100 crores, but whatever we make profit out of it. Even for B2B, we have been PAT positive from day zero, right? Even we have never been a quarter in which we have been PAT negative. We've always been PAT positive. This year, we would be almost reaching to a place in almost 1.5 years. We would be at a place where we can actually buy back our shares from our pads, from our investors. And that is where we are going. Now, I, as a founder, I have worked 6 years as bootstrapped venture, right? After
Right.
6.5 years is when I actually went out and did a venture funding, right? This, to be very honest, a lot of patience is required. But if you have to ask me when is the right time, to be very honest, the right time is there in your books. A lot of people will not agree to this, but I personally feel that the day when you feel that, okay, the CM1, CM2, EBITDA, EBIT, PAT, PBT, etc., these ratios are there for a reason, right? Often we try to chase numbers and growth, and that is something which is very, how should I say, very unique, right? So how many
Right.
Zeptos are there? Right? It's not possible to make Zepto every day, every night. It's not possible.
Never possible. Yeah.
What is possible is that you can make a sustainable business which will stay with you, right? Money
So
is
true.
something which everyone wants to earn. I am pure capitalist in that way, right? But you have to earn. But you should know that as to when is the right time to start yielding people's money, because it's a trust, right? There's an intuitive feeling, right? So when I went out of venture funding, I was convinced as a founder that this business will work. Because when
All right.
you are convinced, I think that is the time when you should actually go out and talk to investors. Because
Perfect. Perfect.
ideas never get funded. And whenever it has, 95% of the times it has failed. Right? That is my observation. So it is when execution happens. If you think you are convinced with the execution part, you should
Got
go
it.
for funding. If you're not, even 1%, if you're not, you should not. Because you will be killed in the market. It's as simple as that.
Understood. So I think that piece of advice is very relevant, what you just told about, right? And for sure, people who are the viewers for this entire conversation will take a lot of note of it. Right? Yeah.
Sure.
Just to move on to my another segment, which is equally closer to my heart, and that is something which is technology oriented, right? So, Sumit, what do you feel about this? Which technology, as per you, is the most booming at the moment? And there are every possible chances it will be a success in long run. What do you feel about that?
100%. I think the entire concept of AI in workplace or the utilization of it, what is happening from a perspective of how we are interacting, how we are working, I think it has fundamentally changed, right? People have to embrace it. There is no going back. It's not possible that, and it is any kind of business, right? Even for a business in which we are in construction tech, right? As a marketplace or whatever we do, because there's a lot of operational stuff which is there. So how we have deployed AI is not from a customer perspective, because we know that customers are not going to take it very quickly. First, we need to take it for ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, our entire PO is now generated through AI. Through, let's say, we have, so every time we generate a PO, it goes back into our mother server, which is learning. So there's a constant ML which is happening there. So there's generative AI, which is according to the language which our business speaks, right? So
Got
I
it.
think a lot of a simple AI, I personally feel, is going to get into a lot of silos, right? It's not going to be that chat gpt is going to help you. Chat gpt is going to give you direction, that I can guarantee. It's already giving us direction, and one of the major reasons of us limiting at 10, 15, 15 odd people is that we are leveraging technology in that way.
Absolutely.
And because a lot of work is getting redundant, we don't want redundancy, because I think being redundant is the biggest, how should I say, enemy for pat or EBITDA for that matter,
Got it. Got
right?
it.
So,
Interesting.
and if AI is leveraged, right, your tool will not cost you, whatever tool, whichever best set of tools you'll take, it will not cost you more than 20,000 rupees per employee per month. That is
Understood.
the ceiling which I'm talking about,
Sure.
right? And
Sure.
if you're able to do some kind of tokenization, that would be 3,000, 4,000 rupees. Now, if you're hiring a full-time person, right, it is never the cost of the salary, right? Someone is paid 50,000, not 50,000, you're actually paying 87, 90,000 rupees, right? So
Got it.
between 5,000 versus 90,000, plus the entire stake which are there, right? Employer branding, attracting,
Right.
retaining, and the cost which is there. It's absolutely maddening. But AI is something which is always going to listen to you, is not going to speak back to you, is going to do what you have instructed that tool to do, right? So I personally feel that for every role there needs to be assistants in AI, whether we're talking about basics of Gemini and ChatGPT to designing, we are going from a Canva or a Gravity kind of a thing, right? Or when we are making PPTs, I personally feel that every role needs to have at least two AI paid tools which needs to be there, which we have already included in Heads Up B2B for every kind of work which we do.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
So that's how I personally feel how AI is going to be leveraged in terms of technology.
Got it. Got it. Thanks. So I'm sure in the last 3 to 4 years of your entire startup journey, or rather, if I talk about Heads Up Corporation, which started, I think, if I'm not wrong, in 2018, right? What role did the significance of market intelligence data play in your decision making, whether it's fundraise or any kind of business development opportunities or any kind of market research during the course of the last 4 or 5 years? I would love to hear from
See,
your
we
side.
are a premium subscriber for Tracxn. Okay. And one of the reasons for going for Tracxn, so there's nothing which is as comprehensive as Tracxn. So much of detailed breakdown data. For example, if I have to do an understanding of, let's say, the funding which happened, even from a basic news article perspective, right? Everything is stacked very properly in Tracxn from the market intelligence point of view. That has helped us in kind of going about the journey mapping, right? So any competitor or anyone who's there in the market who are directly or indirectly working with us and coexisting, right? A platform like Tracxn really helps me or helps us in going towards understanding and doing the first level of secondary research. Okay, that we are convinced that this is the data which is there, and obviously it's a trustworthy platform, so we'll get that intelligence which is going to be spot on. Now that basically sets the tone. And even for finding clients, right? So for example, a lot of our clients, we are able to do the breakdown in that way where we are able to put the right filters, which will help us in narrowing down, okay, these are the kind of companies. And let's say we have to even check financials. We are able to check financials also, right? So I personally feel market intelligence is just going to become Even more critical, we kind of pay a lot of emphasis on. In fact, one of the roles for one of our person who's there in our organization, his job is to do market intelligence.
Right. Right.
So it's very critical. I mean, it's absolutely necessary.
Very well said, Sumit. Great. Talking about my last segment for today, any sort of advice which you would love to give to the youngsters of this generation who has plans to go ahead with their own startup? Would
Sure.
love to hear from your side.
Right. So I think this is the golden time to start anything or work in any startup, to be very honest, right? Because not everyone should start up, to be very honest. It's a lot of problem, lot of pain, there's a lot of commitment. It's the most commitment which you can do to anything ever,
True.
right? So you need to be mentally very clear. Failure is a part of it. We have failed in a lot of things. We've pivot a lot, but you need to also understand that gratification is not something which you are going to get, right? So today's generation is a very gratifying, gratification seeking generation, right?
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen. That's the hard truth. It's not going to happen. Yes, if you're able to break down things into small milestones and then try to build on those things and try to drive satisfaction out of it, there's some element of gratification which you may get, which will keep you glued to that thing, committed to that thing. Because commitment is an issue, right? And it's not easy, right? You have to treat it more than your wife or your child or your
Right.
parents.
Absolutely.
It's above anything. And if you're not mad, if someone doesn't call you mad, then you're not doing it right.
Absolutely. That passion needs to reflect. Very true
Absolutely.
and very well said, Sumit. Well, yeah, I think I wish I could have taken the conversation forward for some more
Sure,
time, but
sure, sure.
due to your busy schedule, we'll have to stop here, right? But thank you so much, Sumit, for coming over here, and I
Thank you.
truly enjoyed the last 15-20 minutes of having the conversation.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you soon for
Sure,
another chapter, right?
sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Take
Okay.
care.